Okay, so have you ever seen those like get rich quick things?
Oh, yeah, for
When
sure.
we all kind of roll our eyes, right?
Yeah, totally.
But isn't there a small part of you that's like, wait, what if it's real?
Oh, absolutely. There's always that little bit of hope.
So today, we're actually looking at a video by this guy, Dan Locke,
Okay.
and he actually did become a millionaire, like by 27,
Wow.
and then a multimillionaire by 30.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so his YouTube video, it's called How to Become a Millionaire, the Truth No One Tells You.
Catchy title.
Right. But before you think we're going to like sell you some course or something,
Right.
relax.
Okay.
Our this deep dive, it isn't about like endorsing his, specific methods or anything.
Gotcha.
We're more kind of interested in like the whole concept of time, right?
Great. Yeah.
When it
Yeah.
comes to like building wealth. So what does Look argue and what can we learn from it? Like even if we're not trying to be millionaires tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because get rich quick has almost become like a joke.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
synonymous with scams and stuff.
Totally, totally.
But look, he kind of throws a curveball right away.
Yeah.
He argues that this whole idea, like the idea that getting rich quickly is always a bad thing,
Uh-huh.
he says that's the toxic concept.
I know, right? He does not hold back at all.
No, he doesn't.
So I got to ask, like, what was your initial reaction to that when you first heard him say that?
Honestly, it was pretty intriguing.
Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely a need to be, realistic.
right, for sure.
But I think Luke is kind of challenging us to rethink some basic assumptions
Yeah,
about how we view wealth.
totally.
Like, it's not just about, like, the pile of money you end up with.
Right.
It's also about the time it takes to get there.
He's very much about the time factor. Like, that's his whole argument, is that wealth isn't really about the amount. It's about the time it takes to get it.
Right.
So to show this, to kind of make it clear, he gives you two examples. Okay, so imagine, like, person A,
Mm-hmm.
they make, like, $25,000 a year.
Okay. Modest income.
Yeah, and they do that for 40 years. So they work, and eventually they hit $1 million.
Right.
But then there's person B. They make that same million, but in just 12 months.
Wow. Big difference.
Huge, right? So Locke's point is, the second person, they're the truly wealthy one.
Even though technically they have the same net worth.
Exactly.
It's really interesting when you think about it that way.
Yeah, because it makes you go beyond just the numbers, right?
You're sure.
Like, what about the life you're living during those 40 years versus, having all that freedom way sooner?
Absolutely.
Like the opportunities you'd have?
Yeah, it's like, think about what you could do if you had $1 million. Like right now.
Right now. I mean, it would open so many doors.
It really would.
And it's not even just about, fancy stuff or whatever. It's about what you could do with that freedom.
Exactly.
Right? And look, he takes it even further. He says, like, a monthly millionaire is 12 times richer than the yearly one.
Right.
And then, get this, 480 times richer than the person who took 40 years.
Whoa.
I know, right? Those numbers.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around.
It is. It is. Part of me is like, okay, is this just bragging rights?
Yeah.
But I feel like there's something deeper there.
I think so too.
What do you think about that time multiplier idea?
Well, to me, it highlights this incredible power of like compounding.
Okay.
And not just with like money in the bank, but also with your own personal growth,
That's interesting.
The more time you have and the more resources you have, the more you can invest in yourself. Take risks, accelerate your progress.
Yeah.
And money, it kind of becomes this catalyst, for growth and for experiencing new things.
So it's not about just sitting on a pile of cash.
Yeah.
It's about using that to kind of unlock your potential.
Exactly.
And this is where, look, he makes a statement that might make some people kind of bristle a little.
Oh.
He says that rich people, they fundamentally value time more than money. And that poor people, they do the opposite.
Mm.
And he even gives this example. Like, he wouldn't change the oil in his Bentley himself
Okay.
because his time is too valuable. He'd rather be doing something that makes more money.
I can see how some people would find that a little out of touch.
Right.
But is there some truth to that mindset, that difference?
Yeah. I mean, is this just like a millionaire being a millionaire? Or there's something to it?
I think it does touch on a really important concept in economics, opportunity cost.
Okay. Yeah.
Every choice we make, it means we're saying no to something else.
Right.
And for someone who can earn a lot in a short amount of time,
Yeah.
it makes sense to outsource tasks that take them away from that high-earning work,
So it's not about laziness, it's about strategy.
Exactly. It's a strategic understanding of where their time is best spent.
So it's like your time literally has a dollar value attached to it.
In a way, yeah.
And Look stresses, it's not about already being rich. It's about making that shift in your thinking.
Uh-huh.
Like to prioritize time as the most valuable thing you have.
Right.
He says that's what leads to wealth.
But how do you actually do that?
Yeah, that's the question. How actionable is this advice, really? Like, what can people listening right now actually do to start valuing their time more, even if they're not driving a Bentley yet?
That's a great question, and I think a good starting point is to treat your time like you do your money.
Yeah.
Track it.
Track your time.
Yeah, like really pay attention to where your hours are going
Oh, okay.
and see if there are any like time-wasting things you could cut out or delegate to someone else.
So it's like creating a budget, but for your time.
Precisely.
So instead of scrolling social media for an hour, maybe you use that time to learn a new skill or like work on a side hustle.
Exactly. It's about making conscious decisions about how you spend those minutes and hours.
I like that.
Another really useful technique is to figure out your hourly rate.
My hourly rate. But I have a salary job.
Even if you have a traditional job, knowing your hourly rate can help you make better decisions about your time.
So even with a 9 to 5, like think about how much you're making per hour
Right.
and then ask, is doing my own laundry or mowing the lawn
Mm,
really the best use of my time right now?
exactly. Maybe hiring someone else frees up time for something that brings in more income or just makes you happier.
Okay, this is already making me rethink some things.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of kind of bold claims about time being the real measure of wealth,
Yeah,
but there's still more to explore.
for sure.
We'll be right back with more from Dan Look's How to Become a Millionaire. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back.
So we're still digging into Dan Luck's ideas about time and wealth. Just a reminder, like, we're not saying we agree with everything he says. It's more like, a thought experiment
Yeah,
to
exactly.
kind of challenge how we think about things.
I like that.
So we were talking about how valuing time is part of that rich mindset, right?
But look, he also says that this mindset isn't only for, people who are born rich.
Okay.
He thinks anyone can adopt it, no matter like what your bank account looks like right now.
So it's not about how much money you have. It's about how you think about time.
Yeah, exactly. He even uses this analogy, like someone could be totally broke today,
Uh-huh.
but they still act like their time is super valuable.
Interesting.
Like they're not going to waste hours on, stuff that doesn't pay well or whatever.
Right.
They're always looking for ways to like use their time to get bigger returns.
That makes sense.
And this reminds me of like there's this whole field called behavioral economics.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It looks at how our psychology, our brains
Uh-huh.
affects how we make decisions about money.
Right.
And there's research that shows that people who really value their time,
Yeah.
they tend to be more proactive
Okay.
and make better choices
Yeah.
about their careers, investments, even just their daily life.
So it's not just about being rich or poor. It's like a whole different approach to life.
Yeah, like they're playing a different game. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
They're not just thinking about how much can I earn per hour,
Mm-hmm.
but how can I multiply that earning potential, make it way bigger.
It's like that entrepreneurial mindset,
Yeah.
always looking for opportunities.
And look, he has this phrase he uses all the time. It's highest and best use.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like all our actions have a different value, right?
Right.
And we should aim for the ones at the top of that list.
But that can be tough to figure out sometimes.
Totally. So let's say someone's listening right now. They're like, okay, value my time. Got it. But how?
Yeah.
What would you tell them? Like, what are some real concrete things they can do?
Well, first, I'd say figure out your goals.
Okay. Makes sense.
What do you really want in life? What does financial freedom actually mean to you?
Right. Like, get specific.
Exactly. Once you have that clear vision,
Yeah.
you can start working backwards, like planning a road trip, right?
Okay. So you need a destination before you can map out the route.
Precisely. Then it's about figuring out which activities actually get you closer to that destination.
Okay.
And be ruthless about cutting out or delegating the stuff that doesn't.
So that might mean like saying no to things.
Yes, definitely.
Or maybe even like a big career change if your job isn't taking you where you want to go.
Exactly. It's about focusing on impact, not just being busy.
It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, right?
It is, yeah.
But are we actually making progress on the things that matter?
That's the key question. You have to constantly check in with yourself.
Okay.
Ask, is what I'm doing right now helping me reach my goals, or am I just keeping myself busy?
And sometimes valuing your time might even mean taking a break.
Yes. It might seem counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but if it helps you recharge, gain perspective, come back with fresh energy, that
So,
can be a very wise investment of your time.
so it's about working smarter, not just harder. And sometimes that means resting.
Absolutely. Rest is essential for peak performance.
Think about athletes.
Right.
They have rest days.
And musicians need those moments of silence between the notes.
It's true. It's often in those quiet times that we get our best ideas.
I totally agree.
This makes me realize how often I feel guilty about taking time for myself.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like if I'm not constantly doing something, I feel like I'm wasting time.
It's like society tells us that being busy is the same as being valuable.
Yeah. But we have to remember taking care of ourselves is an investment,
Yes.
not a luxury.
When you're feeling good, you're more creative, more productive.
Right. You can actually achieve your goals better.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about goals, prioritizing, even resting.
Yeah.
But what about the money part? Like, how does valuing your time play into actually managing your finances?
One way is to think of money as a way to buy back your time.
Okay, that's interesting.
So maybe you invest in things that save you time.
Okay, like labor-saving devices?
Yeah, or services. Maybe you hire a personal assistant for admin stuff.
Oh, or like automate your bill payments
Exactly. The point is to free up your time.
so you can focus on the stuff that really matters.
Right. It's not about being obsessed with money. It's about using it strategically to get your time back.
And that can actually help you create even more wealth later on.
Exactly.
I like this perspective. It's not about rich versus poor, it's about taking control, you know?
Yes. Taking control of your time and designing the life you want.
We've covered so much.
We have.
Redefining wealth, prioritizing, using money as a tool.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But it's all about shifting your perspective, which can be really empowering.
Absolutely.
We'll be back in a sec to finish up our deep dive into Dan Locke's ideas.
Sounds good.
Stay with us. And we're back. All right, so final part of our deep dive into Dan Locke's ideas about time and wealth.
Time and wealth, yeah.
We've talked about how he kind of flips that get-rich-quick thing on its head and says that time is like the real measurement of wealth.
Not just how much money you have, but how fast you get it.
Exactly. And all the doors that open when you have it sooner rather than later. We even got into some like practical tips, right?
We did, yeah, for valuing our time better.
Setting goals, prioritizing, even using money strategically to free up more time.
Yeah.
It's not about being a robot, though, working 24/7.
No, definitely not.
It's more about being intentional.
Yes, making choices that line up with what you actually want out of life.
And, this all ties into something really interesting in psychology.
Oh, yeah.
It's called time perspective.
Okay.
And research shows that people who are more future-focused, they tend to be more successful.
Interesting.
Like they're more likely to save for retirement, invest in themselves, make healthier choices.
So it's not just about money. It's about having a vision for the future.
Yeah, and then making choices today that get you closer to that vision.
Dan Look might be a bit out there sometimes.
He is.
But I think his ideas really make you think about how you're using your time.
Totally. Okay, so if we had to sum this all up, like one big takeaway, what would you say is the most important thing for our listeners to remember from all this Dan Locke stuff?
Well, to me, the biggest thing is that time, it's our most precious resource.
It is.
And it's the one we can't get more of.
Once it's gone, it's gone.
Exactly. So how we spend our time, it really shapes everything.
Not just our finances, but like our relationships, our health, our sense of purpose.
Yeah, our whole legacy.
It's kind of heavy, but it's true.
It is true.
We all get those same 24 hours.
Every single day.
Are we using them to chase quick wins? Or are we investing in things that will matter in the long run?
That's the choice we all have to make.
And Dan Locke, whether you agree with everything he says or not,
Right.
he makes you think bigger, challenge the normal way of doing things.
Yeah, and see time as this, like, secret weapon.
For building a life that's actually fulfilling, not just financially, but in every way. It's not about any one trick to get rich quick. It's about a whole shift in mindset.
Prioritizing time, aligning your actions with your goals.
And hey, sometimes the best use of our time is to just chill out, recharge.
Gotta have those moments.
That's when we get our best ideas,
Absolutely.
So before we go, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Imagine you could magically get 1 extra hour every day.
1 extra hour.
What would you do with it? What would get you closer to your goals, make you happier, make life better? Think about that as you go about your day. because we all have the power to shape our lives.
One choice, one moment at a time.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.